Hi, my name is Cursa, but you can call me Cursa Girl, and welcome to my channel. Is there a brand that you really admire or really like? For me, I really like Coach. I'm a Coach girly. I can't lie. I can't lie. I love a good Coach purse. I also really like Doc Martens. I'm pretty short, not gonna lie. So I need a big boost in order to be at the same level as people. But I feel like for the most part, most people have their fair share of brands that they do like, but they're not necessarily obsessed with them or they don't take over their whole life. There are some people who do go above and beyond for certain brands, even if those brands don't necessarily care about customers' well-being or the type of customers they want wearing their clothes. So, what prompted me to make this video, which is my first video, so if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe. It would be very much appreciated. Thank you. So, what prompted this video was a song called Whim Whammy by a girl named Pluto, right? But I think she goes by Big Pluto in the song. So the song's a banger, low key, I'm not gonna lie. However, there is a problem with the lyrics. In the song, she is rapping about a certain brand called Lululemon. Most of y'all have probably heard of the company Lululemon, which is an athleisure brand that sells clothing such as athletic wear, athleisure, that's pretty clothing, right? However, the lyrics of the song are somewhat uplifting the brand Lululemon, which wouldn't necessarily be a problem for most brands. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of people have certain brands that they do admire or like more than they do other brands. When it comes to Lululemon, Lululemon's founder has made statements such as, frankly, some women's bodies don't just actually work for the pants. He said in the interview, it's really about the rubbing through the thighs. How much pressure is there over a period of time? How much would they use it? They're trying to become like the Gap, everything to everybody, Wilson said in the interview with Forbes. And I think the definition of a brand is that you're not everything to everybody. You've got to be clear that you don't want certain customers coming in. So I want to bring in a broader conversation around this song, right? I don't really want the subject of this song to be the major conversation. I really want to look at the relationship Black people have with certain brands and how those brands market to us, right? Because we have certain Black women who are promoting this brand who actively discriminates against us. It's interesting to see what Black women and people overall decide to spend their dollars on, especially in times such as this, especially in times of almost or possibly being in a recession. We found in our research that Black consumers are much more likely to seek out and place emphasis on brands that are trustworthy, have a clear social mission, appeal to their cultural values, and generally have credibility among the Black community. In some consumption categories, we also found that there is real emphasis on clean and or healthy products that are priced well for good value. Our research found that for Black consumers, key buying factors are quality, customized products, or the ability to customize, and again, the credibility of brand. This is true because you could think of certain Black flea markets that put emphasis on trustworthy products or products that are handmade with quality that come from Black people or people of color to these consumers. And Black people do often tend to seek these out. The article also says, another interesting finding is that Black consumers are more heavily weighted in trendsetter segments, which includes around 30% of Black consumers. So these are folks who discovered new products and services and proactively share them with their peers. This represents a real opportunity. If you could win these Black consumers as customers, they're going to help you expand the recognition of your brand through their network and beyond. So, this makes me think about all the corporations that are currently being boycotted, such as Target, right? Although it's interesting to think, before the boycotting happened and before there was all this attention on how these brands were treating their black consumers and black customers, there was often these labels that were put on these different corporations and stores based on whether one was considered bougie or one was considered ghetto. People would consider Target to be bougie. They called it Target, right? Oh my God, I'm going to go to Target. I'm going to spend 10 hours in Target, especially the millennials, right? However, Walmart was considered ghetto. Like, if you go to Walmart, you would see all like the people of Walmart. It was considered a trend. Walmart was the ghetto place to be. Even though these places both same relatively the same items, the same quality items, and relatively for the same prices, you still have these labels that were put. However, now that these corporations are being boycotted, you see that Target is now trying to get the black dollar by trying to put these black hands in these new ads, right? It's weird. But that shows the power of the black dollar. That shows that us, our buying power, has a lot of influence on these corporations, on their stocks, and whether or not they will survive. This is definitely the same I feel for Lululemon. Lululemon is the same as the Target versus Walmart. It is an athleisure brand, yes. It is expensive, yes. However, it sells relatively the same athleisure products as everywhere else. I have certain workout products that are Lululemon dupes, and I could tell you they feel and work the exact same. However, I don't feel that Lululemon is one of the companies that is currently being boycotted. I don't feel like there's a lot of attention on the racism that has allegedly came out of their corporation. And that's not to say that there aren't people out there who aren't aware of the things that Lululemon has done.
I love that in it. I love that part. But that Lululemon is so dumb because they literally could have said true religion. Hey, get no coochie out the queen. Put some horseshoes on my jeans. The true religion. They could have said that. Yeah. They could have said that. Why not Lululemon again? Cause it's fucking racist. They probably should Confederate flag. That's what I hear. That's what I hear. And you would have screamed it. You would have screamed it. I'm so delusional. That's what I hear. And there's nothing wrong with being delusional. But be delusional for the good shit. Don't be delusional for this racist shit.
That's why this conversation is so interesting to me, because you have on one hand these corporations who are actively being boycotted in these times where corporations are actively getting rid of their DEI initiatives and just rollbacking on a whole bunch of things that were put in place for the benefit of all people. While on the other hand, you have beautiful ladies who are making a song that is promoting a company that actively, allegedly, does not want us wearing their clothes or representing them. Why is there this divide? Why is it that you have people who are boycotting all these different corporations, including Lululemon, but you have others who aren't? You have others who are somewhat picking and choosing which corporations they do or do not want to represent or like or engage with or spend their money on, right? I think oftentimes it's a lack of knowledge on these certain corporations, on what they represent. A lot of the times these corporations hide behind a mask, right? If you're not actively on TikTok, a lot of people wouldn't know that people are boycotting Target. A lot of people wouldn't know the things that Lululemon's founder has said. Or you wouldn't know if you didn't do your own research. And a lot of people just don't have the time of day. That's just not something people tend to worry about, which also comes with not caring. Sometimes there's bigger things to care about, which I completely understand. However, I feel like in 2025 with everything that's going on in the world, which is such an understatement because there's craziness, right? So it's a lot. However, with everything that's going on in the world, I think it's important, especially as Black people, to spend our money wisely and to be conscious of the things that we're representing and what we're influencing our people to spend their money on. Especially because when you see everything that China has exposed on TikTok with the tariff wars that's going on, Lululemon isn't even made with that high quality of material.
I love what China doing. Keep on exposing these big brands. I just saw a video of this lady saying that yeah, Lululemon, yeah, those leggings that y'all are paying $100 for, $5-6 over there. Like, and they so petty because now the suppliers are saying, hey, y'all can just come to us directly. You ain't even got to do all that. Don't go to Alibaba. You come right to us. And those wedding bands that y'all are paying thousands of dollars for, you can get that same wedding band for $2. And he really think he doing something with these tariffs. Like, you ain't doing nothing but just exposing yourself and exposing this country. Like, this back and forth mess that he's doing, he's just causing such a big mess. And you can tell that they're getting scared now because now all of a sudden they are saying, hey, well, you know what? It's not going to be on electronics anymore. Not on the electronics, because they saw that Apple went over there and took them phones and flew them back over here. They said, oh, not us. I hope that this is the end of the whole knockoffs conversation. Like, it's all coming from the same production line.
Right? You would think that if you're spending all this money on their products, that at least the material that they're using would be expensive or the way that they're making it would be high quality, but it's not. So, going to my overall point, again, I think it's okay to like certain brands and have certain brands that represent you or part of your personality. And no hate to the girls who made that song because that song, again, is fire. However, I think as a community, we just have to be a tad bit more responsible. All right, y'all. That's all I have for you. This was my very first video, so please be nice to me in the comments. If you have anything else y'all want to see me do in the future, please let me know. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you on the flip. Bye.